Namaskar, Namaste. A warm welcome to the next episode of Hope Fairy. Thank you so much for sharing all your love and support for this channel. I'm extremely glad and happy that in today's podcast I have my dear friend Vaishali. We have done our graduation from the same college, Presidency. Also, we were together studying at University of Calcutta for our master's course. So it gives me immense pleasure to welcome my friend Vaishali to this podcast. The interesting facet that I would like to introduce about her to you is this, that not just she is a eminent scholar in history, and she have been pursuing her profession as a school teacher where she was studying history in one of the very prestigious schools in Calcutta. While she was in that stable professional job, she chose to leave stability to explore her life with her passion for Spanish language. And that's how she lands in JNU. She studies there, and after completing her academic milestones at JNU, she is now an esteemed professor at VIT Vellore, right? Where she is teaching Spanish as one of their core language study. Thank you so much, Vaishali. তুই আজকে এসেছিস আমার পডকাস্টে, I am so glad.
Thank you so much, Uma. It was a really nice meeting you after so many years. Last year,
20 years.
Yeah, I think almost 20 years we are meeting. We're sitting like this talking. Thank you so much for calling me to your program, to your podcast, and it is really nice.
So, Vaishali, I'm really fascinated and very intrigued to know from you, how did you pick up this flair for learning Spanish?
This is a very interesting question, Uma. I think a lot of people asked me also that why Spanish? Why did you pick up Spanish? First of all, I would talk about my father here. Why foreign languages? I was doing history. Why suddenly a language, a foreign language? So my father always inspired me to learn a foreign language. He used to say that learning languages always opens up a lot of space, or gives you a lot of inspiration to know culture of people, their literature and all. This was always he said, and so that is one of the reason why I have chosen to learn foreign language when I finished my B.Ed. Then there was as I have said, that there was this transitional period where I was waiting for jobs, and then there was opening in Ramakrishna Mission, and I started learning. Why Spanish? That is the most funny or interesting thing. So it happened like that. I was confused between two languages. One is French, another is German. I was thinking which one to pick up, and by that time I used to read a lot of books, and one of my favorite author was Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And my brother, one day I was discussing all these things, then he said, do you want to read Gabriel Garcia Marquez in Spanish? I said, yes, of course, why not? Then he said, then why don't you learn Spanish language? So it was I was very young also. I mean, there was no huge profound reason behind it, but one of the greatest reason was perhaps I wanted to read Gabriel Garcia Marquez in Spanish, and that was my driving force at that point of time.
That's really interesting. So Marquez I have also read when I was growing, and probably during the graduation time, but I never had this idea of learning Spanish. So perhaps this is because you had read Marquez with a certain insight, which perhaps I did not have. So I'm really curious to know what in the author or what in the books did you find so interesting that led you or drove you to learn the language?
Yes, I think during our graduation, more or less all of us have read Marquez, Kafka, Milan Kundera together, kind of. And um, I think Marquez fascinated me during that time also, when I didn't understand the whole concept of magic realism, whether he writes magic realism or not. All these things I didn't understand when we were doing our graduation. But the stories that he was telling us, it was so different, and it, something a new world was opening in front of us. I read his 100 Years of Solitude little later, perhaps. I have read other books prior to that. And when I read 100 Years of Solitude, something happened to me. So, the last page, of course, I don't remember verbatim. In the last page, it is talking about how the one civilization is basically kind of, not, I will not use the word destroying, but it's getting, eradicated. And he is saying, and of course I'm really sorry, I'm no one to interpret his writing at all, but what I felt, that he's talking about a person is reading a manuscript, and when he is reading the manuscript, the whole world is kind of destroying, not destroying, but it's getting into becoming dust around that person. So that picture was very fascinating, very strong. For a long time, it stayed with me, and I was thinking, it was a translation. And also now we know that translation is another way of writing a book also. It's not a mere translation, it is beyond that. That is another interpretation of another author, also the interpretation of the reader. But that moment, I thought, if I can read this in Spanish, what will be that beautiful words that Marquez has used to depict the same picture. When you read a book, you have an imagination in front of you, then that imagination was coming in English. So somewhere I thought, I want to know the exact words that he has written about this particular scene. So that inspired me, definitely. I mean, of course, not in the graduation days, I didn't think in that way, not maybe in the first read of 100 Years of Solitude, but a second or third read, I was thinking, and of course, as I have said, that my brother added that fuel in my head, that you can read it in Spanish. So that kind of inspired me learning this language. And of course, I want to tell this, we read that book. It became our one of our literature in the course of one of our literature courses in JNU. We have studied that book, and our teacher was Professor Indrani Mukherjee, and he taught us that book, and he actually taught us kind of page by page, and to understand how beautifully, intriguingly Marquez is writing all these things. So yeah, it was my immense pleasure that I could read what I wanted to read when I was very young in Spanish. I could achieve at some point of time.
Absolutely fascinating. And actually, I'm also getting, those flashes while you were mentioning it. And the piece where I would like to know further from you is this, that you are already holding, you are in a very settled life, right? And yes, you have, as you mentioned, that you already had started knowing the language and then was getting fascinated by it. The decision when you made that I think I should now pursue and go and study, how did that happen? I understand your brother had been very influential towards it, but something must have, happened inside you where you're holding a job, it's a settled life, and you are not sure what would happen next. Did these thoughts appear first of all? And if it did, how did you manage your emotions at that point in time?
Of course, in initial time, my brother, my father, mom as well, all of them inspired. But yeah, it was very interesting. 3.5 years were interesting because Now when I see hindsight, I realize that I started moving my career around learning Spanish. Like, for instance, I'll give you one example which might sound very, I don't know how it will sound. For a lot of people, it can be ridiculous. I got a government job. I passed SSC and I got a job also. Of course, the place was little interior. The family was thinking that, how I will commute and all, but that was not the problem. The problem is I wanted to learn Spanish. I could not leave it. And I kept on changing my job according to my requirement to learn Spanish, which not always I have done knowingly. I have left a job by saying that, okay, in the morning I can come, but in the evening, if you are continuing, I have to go to my Spanish studies and all. So I think it was the language was settling inside me, and which unsettled the rest of the things perhaps. I was never late. I always wanted to go to the classes, and that time I was not staying here very nearby also. So I was coming to Golpark from far away, but I used to commute to learn this language. So it is already becoming a passion, a fascination, and for which I think I was already in my mind ready, subconsciously ready to take that leap. But it took years. I finished my studies in 2008, and by 2009 end or 10 beginning, I was quite sure that yes, I want to take this jump. I am ready to leave jobs and ready to take up a new life. A lot of personal things also changed, and personal things changed because one of my aunt passed away, and that sometimes a death changes your perspective towards life also. And I think I was very close to her. That's why I'm mentioning it here also. So that definitely give me a different kind of perspective towards life. I thought life is something which you need to explore. Whatever you want to do, you should at least try once to do that. If you want to study once again, when you are ready to settle down your life, then also if you think you want to study again, please go ahead, go forward for it. If you want to do some other works, something you want to go for a startup, or you want to pursue your career in stand-up or music or anything, you should actually take that once in your life. You should do that. You should take that chance, because at the end of your life, you should not be regretting that I didn't take that chance. That regret can be more depressing than staying in that settled and whatever life I was living. It was a beautiful, nice, very tranquil life, and leaving my parents, because when I'm going for it, I'm I already passed 30, so naturally it is not very easy. The emotions are very difficult to manage, because I have stayed with my parents for such a long time. I was not ready to leave them. I could have left after doing my graduation in presidency. I could have left for history or something. I didn't that time. It didn't happen also, and I didn't try it that time, because one of the reason I never wanted to leave my parents. But that emotion is one side. Another emotion is something is driving you towards a path and you're stopping yourself. I didn't want to regret that. I wanted to go there, see the world beyond my world, and also I wanted to study Spanish with all my passion, and I wanted to learn a lot of Spanish literature thoroughly. And I think I'm very happy that I have taken that decision. And also I had a very, very supportive family, extremely supportive.
Life is short, celebrate it. If you have something very close to your heart, just do it. And I feel your example is a very good example for most of us who have some way or the other, for some reasons, we have parked some of our, I would say, intense desires. So, coming from there, Kushali, if you could let us know that how was your journey in JNU, and right now, what are you up to?
When I went to JNU, of course, it was a very different life. I have never been to hostels before. I have never studied in a residential university. I was always, I have finished my studies in the evening, went back home, saw my parents or my brother. But it was a huge transformation suddenly, and also I was much older than them. Like, I'm talking about my classmates or the general crowd. But also I want to add certain examples. What you have said, that we should not leave our passion for any time. We should not leave the passion for future. I can't take the name of the person, because of course I'm not in touch with him, and neither I have talked to him in that way also. But I have seen one of my junior who has finished his job. Like, he has finished his job at 60s or maybe 58, and then came back for graduation in Spanish, MA in Spanish, and PhD in Spanish. I was hugely, when I saw him later, of course he was my junior, so he is coming a little later than I have joined. And when I saw him, I have never told him because we hardly talk, but he was a huge inspiration for a lot of us. Age doesn't matter. I went there in much younger age. I had my classmates who is almost of my age. She was also entering into MA in Spanish during that time. But whenever I think of him, it is a huge inspiration. And when I went there, to be very frank, what I have done, now I was a Spanish teacher before going to Spanish, doing my MA in Spanish. But when I was a Spanish teacher in Ramakrishna Mission, and that is a transition, no, there is a table, the chair is this side, and the benches are that side. So suddenly your transition is from the chair to the benches. And of course, when you are a teacher or any other professionals, then naturally your whole psychologically, or rather, how will I put it? Like, you start thinking in a different way, because you are teaching. Your whole life is structured by your profession, and suddenly you are going back to your old days when you are listening to another person and you are enjoying that, or you are trying to be the student. So the first thing I told myself, that when you are studying, or when you are in graduation, masters, or whatever you're doing, there a lot of competitiveness happens in your head with your classmates, that okay, she's getting good marks, so why not I am not getting good marks? So these things happen. This is very natural. So one thing I told myself, that this is your competition with yourself, because you have to do it better, or whatever. And I never pushed myself. I never said that you have to got this particular marks. I studied whichever I liked. There were courses which I didn't like. I have done moderately in those courses, but the literature, the cultural studies part, or the history part, when it is coming, it is inspiring me a lot. I studied them thoroughly. I got good marks. So I tried to train myself also, like the way that I should not be thinking that I was a teacher and now I am a student. On the first day, I decided I will not think of me as a teacher. That is my past. And right now, from now, I am just a student, or just a human being who has come to study this particular language, as well as its literature and history and all. Also has come to live a different kind of life.
I think there is a lot of self-coaching that you have done to yourself, Kushali, because being a coach, I get to see the kind of conversation that you had with yourself, looking at your self-doubts and trying out a strategy for yourself to thrive in that environment. At this juncture, when you are made your passion your profession, what is that one learning that, maybe not just one, but what is the prime learning that you have about yourself, which you did not know before going to JNU perhaps?
I think before going to JNU, I was an underconfident person. I would say that. I mean, I will not say that I am still a very confident person, but I realize that I have an inner confidence. I can be confident about absolutely wrong thing. Maybe I'm taking a very wrong decision and thinking confidently, but at least what I felt like, when you are in a very protective environment, the first thing that might happens to you, that you are confident, but you, like, I was the youngest one in the family, also in the extended family, so a lot of time I had this problem of no one is stopping me, but I'm still going to people and asking for permission or giving explanation. But that, I think, in JNU, I mean, of course, my guide is one of the person who actually helped me a lot in identifying that, Professor Indrani Mukherjee. She is also a very important influence in my life, apart from family and other friends. So I became very confident. Whatever I came to know what I do not like and what I like, what I would like to do with my life and what I would not like to do with my life. What are my limitations, and also if there are some limitations which I can try to overcome also. It gave me confidence, courage, and definitely I think one of the things that I was very bad at was public speaking. It was, though I was a teacher, during the class time I'm okay, but when there's a public speaking on stage or anything, that was a huge, I had huge stage fright. I think one of the most important thing I realized that I can do public speaking, and sometimes, like, suppose if you are asking me to talk, just give me the topic and say these are the points, and you ask me to talk, I can talk for hours. That I have found out there, that I have done there also. And when I was doing this now, I was extremely tensed, but at the same time I was so happy also, because when I'm talking, people are listening to me, and I'm not, then I realize, oh, I can do this also. And which was absolutely minus when I was I was in the previous days, because I was very afraid that I don't know why I was afraid, but I could overcome that over there, because one of the things that you have said, most of the peoples are not students or people general were not judgmental. Yes, I mean, that made me, that is one thing I have, and I think this whole skill of public speaking is now helping me to become a better teacher. You know, when I am teaching in VIT or I am conducting a program over there, now I don't have to think a lot. I mean, when we were young, like in 20s, I used to think a lot, like, should I say it like this? And now I don't need to think like that. I will, it comes very naturally to me. And particularly when I'm teaching, definitely, I mean, also I would like to include that in VIT, the students are extremely nice. In the class, they are very nice. They're very attentive. They ask questions also, and then naturally interactive sessions gives you a lot of boost for better teaching. But I think that one skill that I have developed in JNU definitely helped in VIT. I will be continuing Spanish teaching, or I would like to open the open my scope a little bit more by if we can also introduce other beyond language, if we can introduce other courses as well. Yeah, if there is a question that you have asked that what I'm going to do in future. So for answering that, I would say that I look at me as a teacher forever. I was that is another passion that I have, and I am always a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. I have become a teacher, and I see myself as teacher till the end of my life. So that is one thing. Maybe I would, as I have said, that there was a point I thought that if Spanish and history and all these things come in, that I am thinking of, that all how to find out more and more vistas, the ways to the collaborating both history, literature, language together, and then do something about it. That I am exploring. I'm writing. Writing in the sense, of course, we have to write academic papers. Those are happening. But if I could write something beyond academic papers, if I could, one of my desire is to translate certain books. Those things are also there in my thoughts, that I want to do that in the future. But I think I want to see me as a teacher till the end of my life. That's what I think.
I think it's a master class. This podcast is nothing less than a master class on neuroscience about how to train oneself to lead the path that they have been thinking of living for a long time, and when life gives them an opportunity, how to make the best of it when the opportunity arrives. And you are living that. I'm so glad, so happy, not just as a friend, but as a human. I think you are nurturing that phase of finding your own inner potential, and I wish you all the best for it, Vaishali. So as we are coming towards the end of this podcast, my earnest request to you, for my audience, any 2-3 simple ways that one can sustain this desire to go back of fulfilling what they had once thought of doing or becoming. Because I see you say multiple times in our last conversation that I wanted to be a teacher and I am a teacher. So you have attained that being what you wanted to do. So what would be your some ways that you think others can follow?
I think one of the very important thing is, one point I want to add here, that it is also true that most of us are very privileged to become whatever we want to become. That privilege is not there for everyone. That is a most important thing. However, if we have the privilege and opportunity, then I would say that there will be failures. There will be days when you feel like that, why I am doing this? This is a thankless job, and should I change my change my job description? Should I change, not become? I'm talking about being teacher. So should I not become a teacher, something else, and all these things. But my point is, if you really feel for it, then you have to stick to it. There is no short course for this. You have to stick to it, even if in your worst possible days, when you are not getting job, perhaps you want to become a teacher, there are no job for the teachers, perhaps in those times also you must. And I remember it happened during pandemic. A lot of people didn't have any job, but most of us stick to the point that we want to do this job only and nothing else. That was a huge challenge for us. I remember a lot of people told me, why don't you become translator? I mean, of course I like to be translator, but that is going to be my passion of translation. I might not be very much interested in becoming the professional translator. So many things so many advices came, and those are not bad advice. It came for good for me only. They wanted to help me out during that time, because all of us are going through a very difficult time at that juncture. But I said I want to become a teacher when I was very young, because of course one of the reason my father is a professor, that is one of that was a professor. So and I never changed my mind. And I think if you want to do something, then there is a wonderful quote. I am forgetting the actor, but he said a wonderful thing. Said that if you want to become an actor, there is no plan B. And I really like. I've forgotten who is that person who said that. So if you want to become something, actually there is no plan. That you must pursue to become that. So that is, I think, the only thing that I can say. And there is no short way of achieving that. You have to give your time for that. So yeah,
That's lovely, and that's so nicely put, that there is no plan B. If you love doing something and you want doing something, just do it. Recurrently, just do it, and things will fall in place. Which has happened in your case, which has happened in my case as well, and I'm sure it will happen in your case as well. You just need to do it.
also I want to say something. Uma, you are a huge inspiration for us also.
Oh, is it?
Yes, for all of us, our friends, and it is such a lovely knowing you during my graduation days also. And whenever I think of your life, and I find it extremely inspiring. You know what you are doing right now. You're following your passion, and it's your struggle and with life and all. I mean, it's huge inspiring. And if I look at me and I look at you, I think you are the inspiration for us.
Oh, that's so nice, and I'm really touched.
Oh.
What you just now mentioned. Yeah, actually, you have laid down the seeds, and perhaps it's the same formula which you have followed, and or which I have followed, and it opens up when we don't think of that. I have decided on this, and this is what I want. Then the doors are bound to open, right? So thank you so much, Vaishali. Thanks for giving Hope Fairy your time, and your journey has been very, very inspiring. As I said, it's another masterclass, is how I feel. So thank you so much. Stay blessed, and we all wish a wonderful journey, and may all your wishes come true.
Thank you so much once again for calling me for this podcast. Thank you, Hope Fairy team as well. And yeah, it was really nice talking to you. Nice sharing our thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Until we come with another episode with another gripping story, please keep sharing your love, and also share your comments, and your if there is any suggestions that you have, please drop us a mail on our email ID. Thank you.